Welcome to this episode of the Gunman. In this video, I'll be taking you through this orange Lamborghini Murcielago and the primer work on it. So the repair work's already been done here. We got our panel beater friends to fix that up for us. I just a quick clip of the filler that they've put in. They've just sanded it back, put some filler into it, and then sanded that filler out. So that's pretty basic. I've got other vids on stuff like that if you'd like to see how to do some filler work. But this one's just how to get it primed up and the prep work before primer. So we ended up finishing off his repairs with 320 after he used 180, and then I'm using here a 500 grit softback sanding sponge. So it's going to scratch up the areas so that my primer's going to stick over the top of it. So this is the first of many videos I've done on this car. So we're doing this sill cover here, or the side skirt some people call it, and the front bumper bar. So I've got loads of footage of it. I think it was 3 hours all up, so I'll edit that down to something a bit shorter. And I've got the colour matching, the buffing, the prep for paintwork, the paintwork, and everything on it. So it's a pretty cool car. The colour is called California Orange, and the paint code is 0058. So the colour is actually a 3-stage pearl, 3-layer pearl. So you actually got to paint the car white first, and then you put your top coat colour over the top of that. So it's pretty tricky to blend colours like this, but I'll take you all through that in the next couple of videos. So there was a couple of runs there. That's actually what that was. I got my apprentice there to grab the sander for me. I'm feathering out a few bits that I'm not really happy with, wasn't happy with, so just sanding them back a bit. There was a few stone chips and stuff like that which I decided to sand out. You just got to be careful with parts like this because they're made out of fiberglass. Once you start breaking through the paintwork, which there's loads of paint on this already because it's been done a few times, but once you start breaking through it to the fiberglass, you'll end up opening up big pinholes because the fiberglass has got lots of air bubbles in it. So you'll end up having to put filler in, and sometimes the easiest way is just to fix up the big ones, then prime it, and then fill up those ones that you couldn't do, and then re-prime it again. Sometimes with these fiberglass parts, but I didn't need to on this. So now I've blown it all off, taken it into the spray booth. Now we're doing some masking on it. Want to be pretty particular with the masking because I wanted to protect the blends on this because it's a 3-stage pearl. You can think that you've got the colour matched 100%, but then by the time you go and put it on the car, it might look, if you put an extra quarter of or a half a coat of colour over the top, then it's going to look different. So make sure you get no overspray over the blends, so that you can clear. So I'm only going to clear over that edge of the bumper bar. Most of the time I would try to paint the whole bumper bar, and in any normal car I would, but this is a 3-stage pearl, so I decided I'd rather to blend it. But I was pretty happy with how it came up in the end. At the very end of this vid, we've got a quick clip, video on the car once it's bolted up onto the car. So that's down at the local Lamborghini and Ferrari garage. Actually put in some other footage of just a quick walk around this garage. It's got some pretty nice cars in there, worth a few dollars. So yeah, now I'm just back masking the edges of this bumper bar. If this was just a normal car, like just an average everyday car, I probably wouldn't worry about back masking that bottom lip. A bit of overspray under there is not really gonna bother too many people, but just the kind of car it is, I decided just take that little bit extra time on masking it up and stuff like that because I don't want to get the inside of it covered in overspray, which we're then going to clean up and that. So just putting that paper on over the top of that back masking here. So I've left out the mixing up of the primer. I actually just told my apprentice, because this was on the Saturday that I did this. I wasn't even getting paid for this. I just told the boss, I said, "Nah, mate, I'll prime it, so you don't have to worry. I'll make sure it's done properly." So I got him to mix the primer up for me. Here he comes in. I can just see him out the corner of the screen just there. He's come in and mixed the primer up. But that's just a 4-to-1 ratio. The gun that I'm using has got a 2.5mm tip on the end of it. So it pumps out a lot of primer. 2mm tip's pretty much a industry standard. 1.8's good enough really, but you wouldn't want to go and use a colour gun or anything like that for primer. It can be done, but it's not really recommended. You just don't get enough material on, and it's not really good for the guns either. They just end up wearing out over time if you start using primer in them, because primer dries so quick. And yeah, basically just use a specific primer gun. So yeah, I've got to obviously make sure we can get right up under there and everywhere at the same time. So I've got to get inside that opening at the back there, so we need it laying down. We can't have it upright, so I decided to tape it down. Here I'm doing my false edge up on this edge so we don't get a big hard edge on that line of primer. By the time you've got 4 coats of primer, you can end up with quite a mean edge there. That's why I've just flipped that leading edge over, and we just go over the edge with the paper. So yeah, 4-to-1 is the ratio I mixed up my primer to, which is pretty standard with most 2-pack primers. Always read the can obviously, but most of the time I found they're 4-to-1. You do get the occasional 3-to-1, the occasional 5-to-1 primer, so obviously read. Yeah, you won't get the desired results if you don't mix them up properly. You can end up leading to big problems with delamination, and sometimes they won't sand properly and stuff like that. So it's all sped up to double speed until we get into the starting to prime it, and then I've just slowed it down to real time. So at the very end, after we've looked at the car, if you just want to hang around, there's a couple of links to a couple of my other popular videos. We've got the Anest Iwata W400 review and demonstration, which is a pretty popular spray gun. It's one of my vids with the most views, so I'll put that at the end. And we've also got the DeVilbiss GTI Pro Light I use for clear coat on a XK Jaguar, which is starting to become a pretty popular video too. So check them out if you haven't already seen them. Same thing with that, like if that was just an everyday Commodore, Holden or Ford, maybe I wouldn't worry about the masking on the inside, and maybe I'll just black at it, put some black in there after. But the kind of car it is, I'll just go to that little bit extra effort. And it's worth a few dollars, this car. So just first coat of primer, we don't want it on too heavy. Just put sort of dusting it on. It's sort of it'll stop the paint from underneath from swelling up. Sometimes you'll get reactions and stuff like that. It can start frying up and have all these issues if you put your first coat on too heavy. So yeah, your first coat you really just want a medium or medium dry coat, which I've set the spray booth to about 30 degrees, so it's gonna dry pretty much straight away, because primer at the 4-to-1 ratio, it really dries quite quick. So it's not going to take too long, and I'm just going to come straight back over, blow a little bit of air over that, and then go in my next coat. And because it's on so dry, that it also helps it dry a bit quicker too. So unfortunately I missed, it was the third coat. I did put 4 coats over it, but I thought I had it recording, and then after I put the third coat on, I thought, I had a look at the camera and it wasn't recording. So, but that's no big deal. It's exactly the same as this coat that I'm putting on now. So you just 4 coats is pretty much rule of thumb for most prime ups. It's what I was always taught. When I started working at this place I'm working at now, I said to the apprentice, I said, how many coats did you put on that? And he just goes, oh, normal, just 3. And I said, well, that's why I'm rubbing through, because 3 coats really isn't quite enough. I think 4 coats is what you should be putting on most parts. if you don't put enough on, then you just end up going through and you've got to put more on anyway, so it's just a waste of time. So yeah, now we'll put our wet coat on, which is going to start giving us some build. Unfortunately it goes out of focus a touch there, but I'm doing my best. I'm using the head mount for the GoPro. Most of the time it's pretty good, but obviously if I'm kneeling down like that, it's not going to be focused in 100%. So I'm just using quite low pressure on the spray gun here. I've got the fan wound right open. I've got the fluid wound open right up too, as to get the most amount of paint on, and just yeah, got the pressure at maybe about 20 psi. You don't need it too high for primer, you just really want to just load it on. So in between coats there, I ended up just giving it 5 minutes. You can see it's flashed right off. It shouldn't take too long. Just keep an eye on it. Obviously the weather, how hot you've got your booth, and the hardeners that you're using is always going to make a difference in between how long it takes to dry. So this was the fourth coat I'm putting on here. So we did those first two, which we put straight away. That third one, which I told you we missed out on because it wasn't recording, and then this is our last coat. And this clip that we've got of the car down at the workshop, we actually could not eat. We don't have these car stands which they've got down at the Lamborghini shop, so we actually have to take it down to them to be able to even pull the front bumper bar and this side skirt off. So, and then what we decided to do was paint it and then put the bumper bar back on just to double check the colour was right, which it was. So that's when I was able to get this footage. So it's not when the car was 100% finished off, but we ended up just sanding the bar down. So I was actually lucky to be able to get this footage here. And that's looking pretty nice. The colour's quite good. Like this is the other one that I did last time, that sill cover on the driver's side there, but on this side here it's not put on yet. That's the one that I've painted, and the front bar colour looks really good. Nice good gloss to it. That's before it was polished actually, so I did polish it after that. There's also just a quick look around the workshop. There's some pretty mean looking cars in there. I thought I'd take some footage, and I'm sure most people that watch my vids are pretty interested in cars, so I thought you should enjoy something like this. The place is just full of yeah, really nice cars, just Maseratis, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, all the good stuff. Pretty mean looking race car here, Maserati. So as I say, there's a couple of links here after we look at this Ferrari. And we've got a couple of links there to a couple of my other vids. Check them out if you haven't already seen them. Click that subscribe button. Thanks again for watching, and this has been another Gunman production. Goodbye.